Okay, hey guys, so today what we're going to be talking about is biochemistry. So let's start off with a basic definition of biochemistry. The basic definition of biochemistry is the chemical and physiochemical process that occur within a living organism. So first off, let's talk about the atoms of biochemistry and what they mean and do. First off, we obviously have the atom, which is the basic building block for everything. On the subject of atoms, we also have what is called a covalent bond. So this is the original atom with a proton, neutron, electron, and nucleus. Together they make the atom. And together what they can make is what's called a covalent bond, which describes a sharing of electron pairs between atoms. You can also have what's called an ion, which is an atom or molecule with a net charge due to the loss or gain of one or more electrons. So here you can have an electron loss, which is called a positive ion, or a negative, which is called an electron gain. So then to go a bit larger, we have what's called a molecule. Now, a molecule quite simply means a group of atoms bonded together, representing the smallest fundamental unit of a chemical compound that can take part in a chemical reaction. So here is a molecule which is combined with water and oxygen. Then to get even larger, we have what's called a macromolecule. So this is an example of a macromolecule. This is a molecule containing a very large number of atoms, such as a protein or nucleic acid. Now that we have the basic understanding of each individual part, we can move on to the more main section of material. To begin biochemistry in an organism, it is in need of a beginning to reaction or for energy and other things to be produced. This beginning or start is called activation energy, which is energy required to start a reaction. Enzymes are proteins that bind to a molecule or substrate to lower the energy required to make it react. An enzyme is quite simply a substrate produced by an organism that speeds up chemical reaction within the organism. So this, in this example, is the enzyme. So quite simply, it speeds up chemical reactions, and earlier we mentioned that enzymes bind themselves to a molecule or substrate. As we know what a molecule is, a substrate is the organic material in which an organism obtains nutrients and grows. So this would be the substrate that the enzyme binds itself to. This is nutrients and grows. It is a catalyst, unlike an enzyme, speeds up reactions without changing itself chemically. So unlike an enzyme, it doesn't change itself in its chemical makeup. These substrate organisms binds to what's called an activation site, which is where the actual chemical reaction takes place. So you have the enzyme and the substrate, and they bond at the activation site where the actual reaction takes place. With the major distinctions now clarified, we can kind of move into a deeper, more tedious points of biochemistry. So let's first talk about the difference between a polymer and a monomer. A monomer is simply a molecule that can be bonded to other molecules in order to eventually form a polymer. A polymer is called a biological molecule, come in four types: the carbohydrate, lipid, protein, and nucleic acids, each of which is made up of four different monomers. So with that, let's now talk about biological chemicals named above. First we have the carbohydrate, which is a large group of organic compound that develops in the foods we consume and living tissues like cellulose, for example. This is just an example on a chart of what each could mean. They contain hydrogen and oxygen in the same ratio as water, but do not combine to form water. In close comparison to carbs, the lipid is any organic compound that fatty acids or come from organic solvents such as natural oils and wax. In short, a lipid is a fat often in foods that are not wholly nutritious, but have some use in the human body. A carbohydrate, on the other hand, is for energy, can be used to quick energy, but will turn into fat if not used. Finally, the last good polymer we have is a protein. A protein is made up of one or more multiple long chains of amino acids and are vital to all living organisms. They have a massive role in the structural elements of the body, and they grow such as muscle, to name one large one, hair, and antibodies, to name a couple other few. So to kind of transition in the more complicated field of biochemistry, we now move into molecules and compounds that make up our molecular structure, such as DNA. To begin, our bodies have, our bodies have nucleic acids, which are complex organic substances, especially in DNA and RNA, that consist of many nucleotides in a long chain. Then there is what's called an amino acid, which is an organic compound containing carboxyls and amino acid groups. And then finally, to conclude, there are two processes which break apart or join major molecules. When a molecule is broken down because of a chemical reaction with water, this is called hydrolysis. On the opposite side of the spectrum, there is what's called dehydration synthesis, which joins molecules with the removal of all water. So basically the two is one joins with water and one destroys with water. In all, each component of biochemistry is critical to the development of a living organism and can make up DNA, muscles, digestion, and many other reactions that take place in the body, each work in unison to keep all the body systems moving and on track, making sure the organism is alive and well. I hope you learned a lot about biochemistry, and thank you.